चला गया तम येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you so much, Sri Gaur Prabhu, for inviting me on this August forum of wonderful devotees. I believe most of them are from South India, from Bangalore and some other parts.
Yes, Prabhuji. Primarily, most of them are based in Bangalore.
Okay, I also have a deep connection with Bangalore, where I lived for 6 years during 1990 till 1996, and then I moved to Delhi. So if more devotees can switch on their camera, it will be nice actually, to know each other, have their darshan, and to interact in a more positive way. Will it be possible for devotees?
If devotees can switch on their camera, if at all possible.
Our path of this sampradaya, the mood of Mahaprabhu is always personalism, not impersonalism. So, and it inspires to each other also, So I'm so grateful for this opportunity to speak with all of you, and my special gratitude to Sri Gaur Prabhu for inviting me in this forum, and congratulations to all of you for your sincere desire to develop taste for holy name. Although I'm very unqualified person to speak on this very elevated topic, but with the service, devotee also gives empower. So being empowered by Sri Gaur Prabhu's unlimited mercy, I try to speak and repeat the words of our acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada. So this forum of Japa Talk is a very important. We discuss about Japa because Japa is life and soul of a devotee. Holy name is life and soul of a devotee. So many of you may have heard the word oligarch, especially our Sri Gaur Prabhu. He comes from that background, externally or internally, both. So oligarch is actually a Russian word. It means a person with ultra high net worth, a super rich person. And with this possession of wealth, unlimited wealth, he can buy anything of this world. Currently, we are observing how Ambani is giving pre-wedding party of his son, whatever the name is. And it is a cruise party between Italy and France. So with that money power, he is able to give this party, pre-wedding party, second pre-wedding party, and then soon his son is going to get married. So similarly, we as a devotee, we are also oligarchs with ultra high net worth of devotion. Out of all this 9 process of devotion, what is Srimad Bhagavatam says that एतावानेव लोको अस्मिन् पुंसां धर्म परस्मितः भक्ति योगो भगवती तन्नाम ग्रहणादिभिः. Yeah, this is a verse spoken by Yamaraj. What he says that devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. So we have been given this ultimate process of chanting the holy name, by the mercy of Sri Hari and Sri Guru. So this is the ultimate gift, greatest gift. Therefore, Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj says that if you love your Guru, chant nice rounds. And also we often hear from Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he was always emphasizing sincere chanting, quality chanting in his every lecture. And he says that out of all the instruction of Guru, chanting sincerity, with full sincerity, 16 rounds is a topmost instruction of Guru. Yeah. And also, Srila Prabhupada, he also says that if we are not chanting attentively every day our 16 rounds, then we are spiritually deceased. Yeah. So we have a doctor, Sri Gauri Prabhu is a doctor. He's a doctor of body and doctor of soul, both. Yeah. And he has brought us together here in this forum, how to improve our japa. So I try to share some reflection from Srimad Bhagavatam and from other writings and lectures of our spiritual masters. So in Kaviraj Goswami, he speaks that Tar Madhye Sarvasreshta Nam Sankirtana Niraparadhe Namale Pai Premadhana. Yeah. Out of all these 9 processes of devotional service, the topmost process is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And if one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily obtain the most valuable love of God. So that is the most valuable love of God. We are not that oligarchs in the sense of material possessions, but we are oligarchs in the sense of our spiritual wealth. Yeah, and this holy name is our topmost spiritual wealth. Yeah. So Kaviraj Goswami continues, that in the episode of Haridas Thakur, how he delivers Maya Devi. This was completely astonishing to the whole world actually, that Maya Devi, who captivates the entire population of this material creation, was captivated by the purity and chanting of the Haridas Thakur. And with that astonishment, Kaviraj Goswami writes a very nice verse, that Maya dasi prema mage ithe ki vismaya sadhu kripa nama vina premana janmaya. What is the wonder if the maid servant of Krishna, his external energy, begs for love of Godhead? Without the mercy of a devotee and without the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, love of God cannot be possible. So we always require mercy of the Lord. We always require mercy of the devotees. And that mercy of the Lord comes in our life through the mercy of Guru. So therefore, our Acharyas has given us this priceless possession of holy name. Yeah. This is the price actually we can purchase, we can conquer the unconqueror. Yeah. Ajit. Lord Krishna's one name is Ajit, who cannot be conquered. But the same Lord is conquered by the love of his devotees. And that devotion begins by chanting of the holy name. Therefore, it is our utmost responsibility that we develop taste for the holy name. Although I do not have taste, honestly speaking, but just being in the forum of such august devotees, one day I will also develop taste for the holy name. So, Krishna consciousness means not going up, it's going down. Yeah. Going up means what? We need to climb some higher level of surface, especially the mountains. And what we get in mountains, we don't get any jewel, we don't get any metals, precious metal in mountain, but we only get ice, which has no value. And what we get by going deeper, if we excavate the earth, we get precious metal. If we go deeper into the sea, we get all the precious jewels. Yeah. So that means our japa should be like that, that while we are doing our japa, we should have complete absorption, focus, and the purpose of our activity, that we want to please the Lord, we want to please the Guru. Yeah. And with that gratitude, mood of gratitude, we must take shelter of the holy name and we chant our rounds, And what is that qualification? Going deeper is the only one qualification. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Tatra laulyam api mulyam. Intense greed for chanting holy name. And to get that priceless possession, Yeah, Sanatan Goswami says that in my life, my only possession, priceless possession, is the holy name. Yeah. And who was Sanatan Goswami? He was the prime minister. Yeah. In the next 2 days, we will have our new prime minister. And the prime minister controlled the entire population, entire resources of the nation. Yeah. It was that powerful Srila Sanatan Goswami was. But he's saying that my only priceless possession is the holy name. Yeah. And all these great heroes, like Yamunacharya, once upon a time he was a king also, but he gave up all those royalty. He gave up that sex pleasure, desire for sex pleasure. King Parikshit, he gave up his entire kingdom and took shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing from Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Kunti Maharani is praying that please cut off my family knots, And Dhritarashtra is rejecting the position of Brahma, the post of Brahma. And what Kolavecha Sridhar is praying for? He is not praying for Ashtasiddhi. He completely rejected that Ashtasiddhi, but he's praying for pure love of Godhead. Haridas Thakur and Prahlad Maharaj, they took risk of their life, but never gave up their remembrance, their chanting of the holy name. Similarly, Roop and Sanatan Goswami also. Yeah, they had opulence like Indra, beautiful wife, but they gave up that entire material opulence. And King Prataprudra, uh, he was so convinced with the love of Godhead, the mercy of the Lord, that if he does not attain that mercy, he was ready to give up his kingdom and become a mendicant. Yeah. So these are all our heroes. These are all the real oligarchs of our life. So this Yug Dharma of Kali, this is the Yug Dharma of Kali Yuga. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Naam haite hai sarva jagat nistar. In this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. So we have that greatest and rarest opportunity to take shelter of that holy name. And that holy name is not different from Krishna. It is beautifully described in the book of Srila Sachinandan Swami, the living name. He gives one very nice pastime of Srila Prabhupada, that when once Prabhupada was visiting Germany about around 1972, so Maharaj wanted to know that what Prabhupada does during his private time within the closed door, within the room, when he's alone. So he climbed up his room on the first or second floor of the temple hall, temple building. And when he opened the window, he observed that Prabhupada was taking rest after his lunch prasadam. And he noticed that Prabhupada was in a very soft murmuring, chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He was completely astounded, to realize how absorbed Srila Prabhupada is. 24 hours he's absorbed in chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So that is the absorption. And we must understand what that holy name is, they're non-different than Krishna. Kali Kale Naam Rupe Krishna Avatar. Yeah? Krishna has appeared in the form of the holy name. Similarly, we see the absorption of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Many of you must have seen that video. While in sleep, Maharaj is performing deity worship. What is the level of his absorption, So these are all our great heroes whom we can take inspiration. So Sachinandan Maharaj further narrates, in his that book, that connecting to Krishna, relating to his holy name as a person, and recognizing our chanting as a necessary practice will make all the difference in our chanting of the holy name. Yeah. And he further writes, quoting Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who explains that in this world of life and death, only two spiritual entities exist. One is the living entity, the individual soul, and the second is the holy name of the Lord. The art of chanting is to bring the two together. All else is lifeless matter. Everything else is lifeless matter. So the holy name is always alive, but the soul becomes spiritually alive only when it actually meets the holy name and chants in that spirit. So we have become alive actually because we have been given this causeless mercy, this the most powerful benediction to the human conditioned soul is this holy name of the Lord, by the mercy of our acharyas. Otherwise, the soul is like a spark out of fire. It's only a spark, with no potency of burning. It's only a spark of fire, almost dead. Mechanical chanting where we are absent-minded will not work, for we only meet the shadow of the holy name, not the real living name. So the name, the Lord's name is a living name where we can connect ourselves with the Lord instantly and immediately. So in this connection, I would like to share one of my experience, uh, which took place during my traveling to Japan in 2022 after the COVID period when I restarted my traveling. So it was my cherished desire since childhood to visit Hiroshima. And Hiroshima is a place where the first atomic bomb around 77 years ago was dropped. And we used to hear about this in our textbook during the school days. So I was in Japan and I planned to visit Hiroshima. I went there and I visited that site, which is now a UNESCO heritage site, where the first atomic bomb was dropped by the American forces during the World War II. And I was also kind of a desirous, to meet any survival of that bomb. So with that desire, I arrived over there, and it was so painful to see that monument and read all those articles which were inscribed in various places around that monument. And I sat under a tree and I opened my bag and pulled out my bead bag and I started chanting. It was such a intense chanting in a prayerful mood, which I rarely had in my life so far. So with that prayerful chanting about 4 or 5 rounds, then I started visiting other sites of that monument. I crossed the river and I went other side to took some photographs. I happened to saw one old Japanese person who was cleaning. He was a social social activity person. So I asked him to take some photo of mine with the background of that monument, and he took. Then he asked me where I was from. I said I'm from India. He said, "What are you doing over here? You are coming such a far place like India." I said, "I just wanted to visit this place." And I was sitting under the tree. This place is such a fearful place, actually, fear of death. But what Sukdev Goswami says that uh, chanting, hearing, remembering of the Lord, it frees us from ichchata bhayam. It frees us from moh and bhay. It frees us out. So I said that I was praying. Then he asked, "What were you chanting? What is that?" I said, "This is the name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare." And ultimately, we are not this body; we are the soul. It was like in a crash course of DYS actually. In within the few minutes, he was completely astounded. To know that a person from India coming from such a far distance place and praying for all the suffering Japanese people who passed away in this terrible bomb explosion. He was so impressed actually. And then he said, "Can you tell me?" He pulled out his notebook and pen and he told me, "Can you please tell me that mantra which you are praying? I want to write it and I also want to recite that mantra." I said, "Wow, this is such a wonderful." And then I narrated the entire mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he wrote down that mantra in his notebook. And we chanted together for some time. Then he took me to the museum. There is a huge museum over there. And he became so friendly and he became so kind. He was like at the age of my father, actually. He was very gentle person. So he brought me that museum, and he told me that you can visit the museum. You must visit the museum to understand the impact of that bomb explosion. It's a very nice museum. So I spent around 1.5 hours over there in the museum. When I came out, I was picking up my bag, and then I heard that someone called my name. I thought something, I am under hallucination. But then again, my name was called, and it was now coming from a very close by distance. Then I turned back and I saw that Japanese person. He said that I was waiting for you. I said, what happened? Come, come, I want to show you some other place. Then he took me to that place where the bomb was actually on the top of that hospital. The bomb was exploded 200 meters above on the sky. That is called hypocenter. So he brought me to that place, and that was really such a fearful experience, to experience death everywhere. And Srila Prabhupada says that advancement of scientific knowledge is not to accelerate the death, because the all the living entities are ultimately going to die. So accelerating their death is not any advancement, but rather advancement is that to accepting the shelter of the Lord, to accepting the process of devotional service. Yeah. So after that, he dropped into one certain point at a red light, and he told me that, look, I want to share something with you. Now, this is the crux of our meeting, actually. He hold my hand so tightly. He was, his eyes were moistened, actually, with the tears. And he told me that meeting after you is such an incredible experience. And I found that you are praying for us whom you don't know. You are praying to your Lord with this holy name. And then he said that once, after you went inside the museum, I called my friend. He's also old guy. And I told him our entire process of our meeting, this entire incident of meeting it with Indian gentleman, and how he's praying for us, how he's reciting this Mahamantra. And his friend becomes so emotional. He said that, oh, look, my friend, I also want to chant that Mahamantra. Please tell me, I want to write it and I want to chant that Mahamantra. So I was shivering in ecstasy, actually, while hearing his narration. And then he narrated this entire story, and then I bid farewell with him. So I was so thankful to the Lord, that I was at the right place at the right moment and meeting the right person. Despite he was being at the fag end of his life, but somehow he came in contact with the holy name. Yeah, he was so fortunate, and that was a completely divine arrangement by the Lord. I just became instrument in the hands of spiritual masters. Yeah, and that is why, yeah, this this Vishnu Tudas, what are they saying? That as a fire burns dry grass to ashes, so the holy name of the Lord, whether chanted knowingly or unknowingly, burns to ashes without fail all the reactions of one's sinful activities. Yeah, that is the power of the holy name. If a person unaware of the effective potency of certain medicines, yeah, Sri Gauri Prabhu is our doctor also. Whatever he is prescribing to his patient, patient does not necessarily know the effect, how the medicine will work, but it works. Similarly, whether we know the potency, the purpose of the holy name or not, but whoever chants this holy name, it works. It drags the soul to the ultimate perfection of awarding the devotional service. And therefore, in Brihat Vishnu Puran, it says that simply by chanting one holy name of the Hari, a sinful man can contract the reactions to more sins than he is able to commit. That is the power of the holy name. But here, we are not to contract the sinful activities, what we have done in the past, but here, that will be taken care automatically. We don't need to bother about that. But our main concern is that how we can develop the love for God. That is the ultimate perfection. That is the ultimate benediction of the Lord. Because developing love of Godhead, we will be rotting in this material world, birth after birth after birth. That is why Haridas Thakur, discussing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that my Lord, you have already executed that, you have already begun that Nam Sankirtan movement, so you don't need to worry how this conditioned souls will be delivered. They are already delivered by your mercy, by coming in contact with this holy name. Not even the Yaman lecture, but also the tree plant, this immovable living entities, So this is our greatest fortune, that we have come in contact with the holy name by the mercy of our acharyas. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for highlighting that holy name is our only wealth. And all the acharyas, the current and the predecessor acharyas have reiterated this fact that, if the only price we have to pay is to have intense greed. And by sharing your own experience in Japan, kind of brought that, it became more lively, the whole thing. So I think so it will touch heart of all the devotees who have attended this session and who will hear this session in future. If you allow, Prabhuji, we can take some question if devotees have.
Whatever you order me, I am your obedient servant.
Thank you. So devotees, you can drop your questions or comments in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Or anybody can also share their experience of holy name.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for this session and also sharing the experience. Even 2 days back, also I was, watching the same, one in a documentary of about Hiroshima. So how do you explain, like, this whole, bomb, this at a time when something very bad, happens? So why God do means it is all about the means collective karma, or means God can be subtle, or I mean, if you see those kind of things, so shall we condemn, or will say, like, no, it's all about their karma? How will you deal this kind of massacre thing, being a devotee?
Well, Srila Prabhupada says that we hate the disease, but not the sick person, So we hate that mentality, demoniac mentality of for the few people for their political benefit and to control the mass people. They want to, they act whimsically, and they bring into the danger of the other lives. So that those few people, like Hiranyakashipu, yeah, like Ravan, because of their such attitude, the entire population becomes at the risk of their lives. So similar thing happens during that World War II also. But we should always have that mood of compassion with all those living entities, though those innocent people who instantly died. 3 lakhs people instantly died in that one sort of bomb explosion within the radius of 3 kilometers. No sign of life within the radius of 3 kilometers. So that is such a painful, actually, but at the same time, the Shastra also gives us information that how the collective karma also acts. If someone is killing an animal, and if we are residing in a certain radius of that area, we are ultimately also affected to a certain extent, of his sinful activity. So this is all collective karma also. Another example, quotation from the Shastra, that if such kind of calamities is happening, it means that some great demoniac person has also taken birth in this material world. It is also said like that. So there are so many versions, scriptural evidence, for such kind of a episode. But being a practitioner of path of devotion, we should have compassion for all the suffering people, and that is what actually is spontaneously poured out of my heart, actually, when I was visiting that place. And I just shared with that Japanese old gentleman, that we are not this body, we are in this body form, we are suffering, we are passing through this birth, air, disease, all these kind of things. But we are a living spirit soul, and until unless we connect ourselves with the Lord, who comes in the form of holy name, especially in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Tar Madhya Sarvasreshta Nama Sankirtana, Nirapradhe Namale Paye Premadhana. Yeah. Until that point, we will be again rotting in this material world, taking birth and rotting in this world. So this is my thought about your question. Hope it satisfied you.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shri Gaur Prabhu, I think we have crossed the time limit. 2 minutes over.
Yes, Prabhuji. If you allow, I want to ask this question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So, Prabhuji, how to develop that intense greed? You highlighted that intense greed is the price you have to pay. So, what we should do, and you also gave examples from scriptures that how these devotees, kind of they forsake everything material to gain that spiritual enlightenment. So, how to develop that intense greed?
If we remain in the association of sincere devotees like you, one will automatically get that intense greed for practicing holy name, for chanting holy name. It all depends upon the association of devotees, I believe. This is what I feel. And at the same time, taking a self-step also, to practice whatever we are hearing, whatever we are reading in the scriptures, we should apply as far as possible. And for doing the japa, as all our acharyas, scripture says that the morning time is the best time. So that must be our priority actually, based on our social position, our occupational position. As far as possible, we must do our japa 16 rounds early in the morning during the Brahma Muhurt time. As far as possible, if it is possible. It may not be possible, especially for the Matajis who are especially working or housewife, because they have so many other responsibilities. But as a working person, we should do, we should take out time, Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he always asked his disciples, to chant 16 rounds, and on all Vishnu Tattva appearance day, it must be 24 rounds, yes, 25 rounds. He himself, I was hearing the offering of one devotee, and what kind of sincere devotee he was, what kind of sincere practitioner he was of this path of devotion, was reflected on this narration of this devotee, that he was traveling with Maharaj to Kenya, and it was a night flight. That was the kind of flight Maharaj would love to fly during that time. And the devotee fell asleep, and he asked Maharaj, you also take rest? Maharaj said that I never sleep in the flight. Either I chant or I read Prabhupada books. When I heard that, I felt so ashamed, because throughout my life, I have been flying to international destinations, and it is often night flight, early morning flights, and I exhausted my energy, and as soon as I board the plane, I immediately fell asleep. But here is Maharaj, despite his advanced age, but he has that intense greed, laulyam, to chant the holy name of the Lord. And when we hear the example of such a great soul, we also develop that desire. So we should have that desire. With that desire, we chant whilst taking shelter of the holy name. And by really regularly hearing the glories of the holy name, we also get attachment. Hope it answer your question, Prabhu.
Yes,
I
yes.
am very fake realization, Prabhu. I am not a realized person, but I just feel very inspired by hearing great souls, their practice of devotional service.
So I personally have been connected with you for many years, and I know that you are not only very senior but very sincere, very determined, very deep, and you have supported and helped and guided so many devotees. We are very, very grateful that you shared your wisdom with us, Prabhuji, and this definitely will help us improve our chanting. There's so many devotees who have dropped their comments. Like I hear Pavan Gupta Prabhuji saying, "Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing your experience," which proves that holy name belongs to everyone and everyone deserves it. Very good preaching example. And then Shakti Prabhu is saying, "Thank you." One learning: if we do mechanical chanting, we will only connect with shadow of Lord. That's why for real connect, we should be attentive. Yeah. And Prashad Prabhu is saying, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, wonderful session to develop japa on holy name. And Krishna consciousness with your examples of wonderful heroes of ISKCON and practical examples. Indeed, everyone is so happy to hear you, Prabhuji. And I'm sure it will help everyone to improve their chanting. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. His
Thank you.
Grace Kanaipriya Prabhuji ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur
Jai.
Bhaktavind ki jai.
Jai.
So grateful to all the devotees for giving me opportunity to serve them and to also understand and realize, to the higher degree, the importance of chanting, sincere chanting, attentive chanting, and the glories of the holy name. And we are extremely fortunate to having received the holy name. The priceless possession of our life and soul, is the holy name, the mercy of our acharyas. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.